I've played The Sims 3 for Wii and The Sims 3 for DS before on this channel. I'll put links to those in the description, but today I'm putting my personal favoritism and biases aside to try to objectively compare the two games. Instead of telling you how I'm going to compare them, I'm just going to jump right into it. The Sims 3 for Wii operates with the same open world as Sims 3 for PC. You can go from one end of the world to the other, go in the sea, go to work, go in community lots, visit people's homes, all without a loading screen. However, when you play The Sims 3 for Wii on an actual Wii instead of emulating, every time you cross the borders of a lot, the game freezes and a loading icon appears. So despite the lack of loading screens, there is still a pause of at least a few seconds while the new environment loads. And if you choose to taxi or drive instead of walk, you'll get a sort of loading screen. You have to watch your sim slowly get from point A to point B without being able to control anything, which is essentially a loading screen. However, it is somewhat realistic to see your sim drive instead of seeing a blank loading screen. On the other hand, the DS version features a lot of loading screens, and whenever you complete an event like gaining a skill point or getting a job, you have a loading screen in and out of a cutscene, whereas in The Sims 3 for Wii, you just get a notification. However, when you travel to work, you get to see a full world view where you can follow your sim to work and freely explore the map, but from far away and without your sim. The Wii version of The Sims 3 has better graphics compared to the DS version. Here is a visual comparison. However, the character models for The Sims 3 for Wii are very ambitious for a Wii game that barely runs at the best of times. If you zoom in on a sim, you may be graced with this beautiful X-ray view, which is unsettling at best. The Sims 3 opts for a more simple, pixelated graphic style. However, in my opinion, that does add to the charm of the game. However, objectively, Sims 3 for Wii graphics are much more ambitious and are honestly quite beautiful when emulated with high graphic settings. This likely comes from the Wii being a home game system and the DS being a small portable one. In the Wii version, you move around using the nunchuck, giving the game an almost GTA-like feel as you run around the map, walking up to items to interact with them. However, something to note is that in order to view needs and motives, and also other stuff about your sim, you need to enter a pause menu where in-game time stops, making it quite hard to keep on top of your sim's needs. In the DS version, the game takes advantage of the two separate screens, showing needs on the top screen and the game on the bottom. Instead of moving around to interact with items, you simply click on the item you want your sim to use and your sim will walk up to it and use it by itself. Another interesting note is that because of the nature of The Sims 3 for Wii, given that you have to walk up to an item to use it, there is no action queue and you must finish your current action before walking up to another item and starting a new action. In The Sims 3 for DS, you can queue up interactions like in the PC version. Not many Sims players really care about multiplayer functionality, which I think says a lot about the amount of friends Sims players have. However, The Sims 3 for Wii does have a multiplayer option. This is essentially a completely different game, but is still fun and interesting. Essentially, you have to choose between a selection of pre-made Sims, starting from a child and going through all the stages of life until death, and with a short afterlife section at the end, you get to choose a predominant trait for your sim, which unlocks some more options throughout the game related to said trait. You are given a prompt and 3 options, and the goal is to end up with the most lifetime happiness. Some options require multiple players to choose the same option, and sometimes choosing the same option will result in a minigame, where the winner of the minigame will gain lifetime happiness and the loser will lose some. The DS version doesn't have an option for multiplayer, but that's not the selling point, so I'm not going to mark it down too much for that. The Sims 3 for DS has no aging or babies. That's the tweet. Rotten and horrid, honestly. The Sims 3 for Wii has aging and babies. Just saying. The choice between The Sims 3 for Wii and The Sims 3 for DS ultimately depends on your preferences. If you value better graphics, more immersive gameplay, and the option for multiplayer, the Wii version might be a better choice. On the other hand, if you prefer portability, touchscreen controls, and a more structured gameplay experience with quests, the DS version could be more appealing. It's worth noting that the two versions offer very different gaming experiences, and what's better is subjective. It's a matter of personal preference and what kind of experience you're looking for in a Sims game. However, Now is time to choose the best game. I have thought long and hard, and I have made my decision. The best Sims 3 console port is The Sims 3 for Nintendo Wii. But I do think this comparison is a bit unfair. I mean, just look at the consoles. Look at the material. I highly suggest trying both games, and I also highly suggest watching my videos on both games. The links will be in the descriptions, the playlists are on my channel. Tell me in the comments which game your favorite is, and if you don't, I will shove a Nintendo DS up your rectum. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe for more Sims videos. I'm gonna have to love yous and leave yous. See yous in the next one, besties. Mwah.